We have all, this month, we were doing affirmations. So all of the talk titles have been I am something. And today is I am love. And I know Bedford did a version of I am love last week. And the reason why I was called to do I am love today is because when I looked at the daily word, and for those of you who follow, I think Tanya does this, for those of you who followed the daily word, the actual daily word, this isn't today's daily word. I chose it because I liked it better. So anyway, so sometimes they don't actually correlate with the yeah, perfect, yeah, of course it did. So I chose this one, and it obviously the daily word today was service. And what came to me, the affirmation that came to me is I am love, because the reality is when we are love, when we embody the truth of the love that we are, what is left is how do I serve? That's what we do. We go, how do I give? In what way do I give? And so I want to talk about the power of our words first, because we've been talking about affirmations. And so this is Paul Hasselbeck. I am doing my Metaphysics 4 class. Today's my final class, although I have a project due that's going to take quite some time. It's a shifting of consciousness. We'll talk about it later. But so listen to this. The spoken word is much more than just the audible sound of the word. It includes the consciousness of the person who speaks it. I'm going to read that again. The spoken word is much more than just the audible sound of the word. It includes the consciousness of the person who speaks it. When words of truth are consciously spoken, truth consciousness energizes these words and mighty things are accomplished. Like the example from Deepak Chopra earlier. Can you feel that? I think we can all agree that he's got a certain degree of consciousness, Deepak. These are spoken words that have spiritual intention and motivation behind them and carry great power. All he said was, I need somebody to do my cover art. It was just a sentence, right? But his words, because of his consciousness, carried that kind of power that traveled time zones and continents and brought him this person. Okay, so these are spoken words that have spiritual intention and motivation behind them and carry great power. If a word is consciously spoken with the sole intention of expressing a divine idea, it is called an affirmation of truth, and it carries the greatest power of all words. Okay, some of this is unity speak. So listen, a divine idea. The idea is that God is not a being, but an energy and a power, and God, also a word that we use, or a term that we use in unity, is divine mind. And it doesn't matter what you call it, but I like that image because that is, it explains that God is a mind, and the way that God communicates with us is that, and the way that we tap into that creative power is that it ideates. So it gives out ideas. A divine idea is beauty, right? And an example in the world of form of the divine idea beauty is a rose. Can you feel that? So a divine idea beauty, also me. Okay, so, but you know what I mean? Do you see what I'm saying? So a divine idea, whatever it is. So, okay, so what we're talking about is when I say, I am love, when I say that, I am speaking words, but it is the consciousness of me that is going out into the world when I speak my words. Does that make sense? So consciousness is made up of what you think, feel, and believe to be true. Okay? So what you think, feel, and believe to be true is what makes up your consciousness. And that is why we do consciousness work, because everything that's in there is affecting our power. It is affecting the degree to which we are able to show up as a divine expression of creative energy of God in the world. So we work on it. We work on it by plugging in and meditating. We work on it by reading spiritual books. We work on it by listening to spiritual teachers. We work on it by showing up as an example of love in the world. Okay, so we feel that, right? So that is why we affirm. And today, what I want to talk about is affirming that I am love. And what that looks like is service. Okay, I'm going to tell you about this lady, and I'm going to use my cheat sheet just in case I forget. Okay, there is a woman. Her name is Edith Eger. Do you guys know her? Is there a synchronicity? I just saw it. Somebody has one. Okay, Edith Eger. Okay, she is 91. She At the age of 90, she published her first book. It's now a New York Times bestseller. She's 91. I love it. I love her so much. For so many reasons, I love this woman. But so she is a Holocaust survivor. Not only is she a Holocaust survivor, she is a survivor of Auschwitz. And what she did, I'm not going to cheat. I'm going to tell you who she is first. Okay, so her name is Edith Eger. She was born to a Hungarian Jewish family in 1927. She was one of 3 girls, and in her life, she was a ballerina and then switched over to gymnastics. And she was actually training for the Olympics when she was 16, and German soldiers came to her family's home and took them away. So she, I want to make sure I'm getting this right. Okay, so they took her. When she got to Auschwitz, the person that she saw is the famous one, that they call Dr. Death. And he looked at her and he said, "Is that your mom or your sister?" Talking about her mother. And she said, "My mom," because it was. And what that meant is he said, "Go that way," and he sent the children that way, and her parents went straight to the gas chamber because that happened. And then there's a reason why we're talking about it. I know, because I tend to, when I hear things like this, I'll start to shut down, and I'll go, no thank you. But here's the thing, I'm not saying this is what you should do, but I recognize, right, we were just talking about consciousness, right? So what I allow into my consciousness matters, right? And so what that means for me is that I will not read an entire book about the Holocaust right now. I'm not inspired to do that in this point in my life. I've done it before. I'm not inspired to do it right now. But what I will do is listen to a piece, a sliver, something that gives me enough that I can understand the story. So that's what we're doing. Sorry. It's because I feel bad that I'm telling you the story. That's why I had to do that. Okay. So, all right. So, Dr. Dad, you go over there. Okay. So, she's in Auschwitz, and one of the things that she realizes and learns there very quickly is that you give up your personal wants, your personal desires, your personal anything to become a we. Because she knew that the only way that they were going to survive there was if there was no I, if there was only a we. So everything became about we. And one of the things that they had her do, because she was a ballerina, they had her dance for Dr. Death, like literally do, yeah. And she said what she did is she closed her eyes and she imagined herself to be somewhere else, dancing somewhere else. And so she did, and she put all of her presents into it and all of that, and he gave her an actual loaf of bread. Now, meanwhile, all of her fellow inmates are starving, she's starving too, and she takes the bread and she shares it with all of her fellow inmates. Those same girls later, when she breaks her back during a death march that they have them on, make a basket with their arms and carry her rather than leaving her there to die when she shares the bread. Okay, now here's the thing. This is what I'm telling you about her. When they found her, May 4th, 1945, an American soldier found her laying beneath a pile of dead bodies, back broken, 5 kinds of typhoid fever, pneumonia, pleurisy, barely alive. She just wrote a book. She's 91. She just wrote a book. She has spent her life working with trauma survivors. That is what she's done. She now has a PhD. She came over to America, she and her husband, and they raised daughters here. And the cover of your bulletin, did I bring that up here? I didn't. Can somebody hand me a bulletin real quick? I want to read you the quote on the cover. And this is why this is meaningful. This is her. This is her quote. It says, "Our painful experiences are not a liability. They are a gift." So this is her. So I've heard that in different ways in different times. But I heard it in a new way this time. And what I heard is your gift, the gift you give to the world, the gift of service that you give to the world is directly correlated to your pain, to my pain. Can you feel the truth of that? That we find our service through those moments so profoundly this woman can talk to trauma survivors and make a difference to them because she was in Auschwitz. You know what I mean? Like you can go, all right, I can get on board with you understanding trauma, right? And here's the thing, it's important in her book, and I put it on here under my inspirations, what her book is. And her book really is, it is written for and about trauma and surviving trauma and breaking out of what she calls the Auschwitz of our mind, the prison of our mind, right? And that isn't why I'm bringing her up. I'm not bringing her up because of the work that what she does specifically. I'm bringing her up because she is such an example of embodying love and embracing the things that challenge us the most and going, okay, this thing is going to be used by me to give service to the world. Have you ever had that happen? Have you ever been going through something and there's been a voice in your head that said, this is for something and I'm going to use this in some way? Does that ever happen? Where even when in the darkest moment, and then she talks about it too, because here's the deal, when you're in Auschwitz, like how do you have experiences of spirit? I mean, one would think it would be really, really difficult to see God in Auschwitz, but she can see it retrospectively, right? And so she's also a good person to bring to mind when we're in our Auschwitz, to understand that there's going to be a moment when we're not there anymore. And that is when we will see why that happened. Does that make sense? When we're there, when we're in the pain, when we're going through it, that is oftentimes not the moment that we are going to be able to experience God. It's because of Faru. Let me tell you about Faru. Okay, Faru is this. When we're not able to see, experience God, it can be one of these things, and there's an acronym, it's FARU, and it goes like this. It's fear. These are stumbling blocks. So something is keeping us from experiencing God. Fear, F. A, which is, what's A? I feel like that light's trying to tell me. Attachment. Okay, attachment. R, right? F-A-R, right? R is resistance. And U is unforgiveness. Okay? So Faru. In any moment when I am not able to experience God, when I'm not able to experience my fullness, I can go through the checklist. What am I in fear about something? Am I resisting something? Am I what did I say? Okay. Attached to something? That's a big one. I feel like, okay, here's what I feel like. I feel like I'm good at the forgiveness one and good at the attachment one. The fear one's a little tricky for me because I'm an anxious person. But so anyway, it's one of those things. So I just moved out. Where were we? We were in Auschwitz. Okay, when we're in Auschwitz, right, we are not, am I saying that right? It doesn't matter. When we are there, when we're going through that space, we might not feel it. We will feel it retrospectively. That will be something that we use later to help others. And later doesn't mean, I do not believe that later necessarily means in this lifetime. We have a soul that is eternal and does not go anywhere. It is always, always, always. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It only changes forms. It is constant, and your soul is constant, and my soul is constant, and it's not going anywhere, right? It will, well, that's not true. It does go somewhere. It's going somewhere. But, yeah, because it's not going nowhere. Anyway, we could do this all day. Or not, because what I'm saying to you is that it's not just about this parentheses in our lifetime, right? So that is another important thing to understand, that this pain, this difficulty, it is not just about this parentheses. It really isn't. And that can be quite helpful. And what I'm talking about today is showing up as love. And so this is what I want to bring it back to. I want to say that when your intention is to show up as love in the world, when your intention is love, not just for others, but for yourself. When you want to embody love, what happens is you create that intention, and then what your soul begins to say is, I'm going to go do this here. I'm going to say this here. I'm going to listen to this person here. I'm going to help this person here. And you just start being of service. And that is actually where joy is. Joy is in service because we are here to serve each other. That is what we are here to do. And we cannot, that's that purpose thing where we're always looking for purpose. And as long as we have breath in this life, we have purpose in this life. As long as you have breath in this life, you have purpose in this life. If you have breath, you have purpose in this life. Right. So, yeah. Okay. I think that's what I wanted to say. Okay, let's pray. Okay, this is why we're going to pray. Let me say this about prayer. Okay, so what we're doing here, right, is we're raising our consciousness because when we speak words, we want to be speaking from the truth of who we are because that is our creative power. So anytime, that's what prayer is. It's not praying to, it's raising our consciousness and speaking from that space. Because when we do, it carries that creative energy and power of the universe. Does that make sense? It carries the creative power and energy of our consciousness. So right now, together, let's do that. That's what we're going to do right now. So let's take a breath.